This week is an awkward conversation, but I want to have it anyway, and it'll make sense when I get all the way in. So just bear with me on this, because at first it feels a little awkward and weird, but it makes sense as we go along, as usual. So I want to talk about trauma and how it lives within our body on the long term. And the reason I've been thinking about this is I went to the doctor this week because I've got a little health issue going on inside. And I was trying to describe to him the feeling that I'm having in my abdomen. And the first thought that came to my mind, because the pain kind of radiates from the front to the back, and the first thought that came to my mind was, I said, well, you know, and I said, well, wait a minute, no, you don't know, because you're a guy, but it's like when I had cramps as a girl or a woman, you know, when I had my period, I would have these cramps, and that's what it feels like. It feels this heavy feeling, this pressure feeling, and it goes from the front to the back. And I didn't think much about it while I'm in the doctor's office. I just thought it was a good example of what's going on and how I feel. And he seemed to really totally understand it, which is great. But then as I was leaving the doctor's office, I had this thought of, wow, like that must have been that traumatic that's the thought that I have to describe this feeling. And understand, it's at least 20 years ago, no, probably more than 20 years ago that I had that feeling. So, wow, to go right there to describe it, although it was a great description for him to know what I feel like, it's like, wow, that must have been super traumatic. And so I started to think about that, the trauma that lives on in our body. Even as an older woman, I still have that. So then I talked to the gals that I work out with in the morning, and I asked them about it. And they said, oh, yes, very traumatic. And I started to also think, why don't we make more of an effort to walk young girls through it? And maybe we do a better job now. We certainly did not in my younger years, not at all. So maybe it's done better, but I really want people to be able to help girls understand what's going on. And you think about it, I know for guys, you probably have your own thing, but for girls, this is every month at least for, I don't know, 30, 40 years. That's crazy, right? And then let's not get started on childbirth, but I'm just talking about trauma living in our bodies. And so I started to think about the trauma that may live in our bodies from other things. And because it's Christmas, can you tell I have on my cute earrings? I actually have a Grinch t-shirt on, sweatshirt that's so cute, and it has bows on the on the arms. So cute, so cute. And I love dressing up, remember? But anyway, this trauma thing, and it might be that Christmas was traumatic for you. And it might be, maybe somebody passed away at the holidays, or maybe you got a divorce during the holidays, or maybe something happened with your children and now you're not speaking, and so it's traumatic. And trust me, that trauma is living in your body, and you have to get not comfortable with it, but you have to get to know it and really understand it and feel it, and then start to heal it, because trauma stays with us. And when I first became a mother and had Christmas of my own, and we had moved overseas, so we were living in a foreign country, I had a brand new baby, and I had to celebrate Christmas in some way that brought me a sense of contentment, if certainly not joy. I mean, it was lonely that first Christmas. And I think it was lonely because I was expecting things to be a certain way, right? Remember we talked about those rules that we were taught when we're kids. No, I don't have to have those rules, but it took me years to understand that. So I try to share with you what I have learned, so that maybe you don't have to suffer through that. And when I was I think I was 26, and the new baby, and living in a foreign country, Austria, it was a fabulous experience, but still lonely at Christmas. And then I realized I've got to come up with things that bring me joy, create my own traditions that I want to have as a family, with my family, of course. I'm just not going to do solo and make them do what I want. But it was more so, we've got to create traditions that we enjoy, that bring us happiness. Like most recently, probably in the last 10 years, grown-up children, our son started making beef Wellington for Christmas. And so it's become our tradition. When we're together, he makes beef Wellington. It's quite a process, and it's an absolute gorgeous thing to look at and eat. But that's our new tradition. We still hold on to having Christmas stockings and a little few things from Santa, but other than that, we just enjoy each other's company. We don't really get all carried away with having it be just so. We just enjoy that it is. You know, one of the fun things about Christmas celebrations that I have learned over my years when we lived in Austria is that, and it's funny to me, Jesus is the one who comes and brings the packages, and he brings them on Christmas Eve. And the tree is not yet done up, and the kids are whisked away somewhere. And so the tree is then decorated. And back in the day, this was in the 80s, they put sparklers on the tree. It was a brand new tree, so it wasn't dry. Unbelievable. Sparklers. Oh my Lord. And then the young child Jesus brought the packages and put them under. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool because that makes more sense for the celebration of Christmas. And Santa Claus came on St. Nicholas Day, which is December 6th. And that was a cool one too. The kids put their shoes out in the hall. And if you've been a good child, of course, if you're at school and you put your shoes out, everybody's good. But if you're a good child, then you got candy in your shoe. If you weren't, you got switched with sort of a broom-like thing. And they had Krampus was his name. And he was kind of a hunched over with kind of a sheepskin clothing and weird kind of tattered things around his leg. And he would have this broom-like thing that he would switch people with on the street even. It was kind of a big party day for everybody. But I thought that's kind of cool. I mean, we use coal as a joke. You know, you put coal in your stocking because you were bad. But they do it in their shoes. I just thought that was the cutest thing. And Jesus, this is what cracks me up, is Jesus is blonde and blue-eyed. That's what cracks me up, because obviously the heritage is off, but that's fine. And he's got a white gown and they can do whatever they want. That's their tradition. But I did think it made a little bit more sense than having Santa come on Christmas Eve and deliver the packages. But you know, everybody to each their own. And I still do Santa myself because I think it's fun. And we get little fun things to put in the socks because it's good to be, remember, childlike, not childish, just childlike, and have a good time. Play. It's important. So I just wanted you to think about that trauma that may be living in your body and deal with it. You know, get to know it, get to understand why it's there, delve deep into the feeling, feel it, and then let it go. Let that go, because you're you now, and you don't ever have to go back to that thing ever again. You're never going to be that young child who suffered trauma. You're never going to be that person who suffered trauma because you're a different person now. So you can deal with it and move on. Not totally, but better. And then make up your own stuff that brings you happiness and joy and being childlike and having a great time. Because that's what the holidays are for, is to have a good time together with people, alone if you want to. Whatever it is, you make up your own game plan. Well, I hope that helps. And I hope you enjoyed the funny stories, because they are kind of silly stories, but that's the way it is. All right, I will talk to you later, and have a great holiday. Bye.